ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Ralph's Automotive. That's going to be part 2 of the 2007, whatever the heck it is. Anyway, as you see in the first part, we've had the condenser unit out of here. We cleaned it up, and I took the air box out. And as I mentioned in the other installment, you take the headlights out because that's how you easily going to get to the screws when you put the condenser unit back in. You see me clean all that, clean the evaporator, done all that, and we're fixing to put the seals in. I'm gonna have to make this a little bit of a shorter video. The lines, the way they came out, you've seen that in the video, so I'm not going to video all that. I just didn't want to not finish the video. That's really the reason I turned it on. I'm really kind of a little bit pressed for time, but I said I was going to, and I'm going to go ahead and finish it. Basically, the main thing here that I want to concentrate on is to have the camera on when I'm actually going to do the compressor part. I got us a reman compressor. Hopefully that compressor works out okay. Like I said, everything is ready to be, or ready to have O-rings installed. You know, the expansion valve can go back in, and I'm probably going to turn the camera back on for that. So I'm going to get ready to do all that, and we're going to continue on. As mentioned in the previous video, if you when you're ready to install this expansion valve, if you want to lubricate the O-rings, use PAG oil that's supposed to go in the system in the first place. Now this system here is drained basically because everything was flushed out of it, so there shouldn't be no oil remaining other than what's in the compressor, and that of course comes out with the compressor here in just a minute. But anyway, I went ahead and installed the expansion valve. Make sure that you select the proper O-rings that come with the expansion valve. It will have the proper O-rings with it. So I'm going to move on, and I showed you all the dryer the last time, so there's no need in me going to a big deal about the dryer. Of course, we got a new one. Also comes with its O-rings. So brand spanking new. Anyway, I'm going to pause the camera off a little bit. I'm going to get some of these lines back in place. Okay, here's the part that gets interesting. 15 mil up here. There's your belt tensioner. Hope you can see that. Kind of tuck your belt away. 14 millimeter. One up there, one over here, and we're going to take the bracket in the back. We're going to take the whole entire bracket off. I think that is the way I did it the last time. Of course, these bolts are pretty nasty, hard to see. Sorry about that. But anyway, this air compressor is pretty simple to get off of there. And I'm going to go ahead and unbolt it. Well, now that you've seen it, and I'll show you once I get it down. 2 equal length bolts in the front, so you don't have to separate those. Lower bracket bolt. Oh, I went ahead and removed the last bolt from that air compressor, and well, that's a fail. I need to unbolt the air compressor from the back of the bracket. I did tell you wrong on that one, or at least we don't need to unbolt it, but at least loosen it up. We like a little bit getting the ginormous, super long bolts out of it. Gotta love the engineering where they put 600 feet of bolt inside of something and think it's going to do something. But that's neither here nor there. We'll just go ahead and do what we got to do here. It's not a big deal. Everything on this thing is pretty much wide open, so it's not like we're going to be hurting or anything. You easily do this at home with no problem at all. Set the bolts on the back here, 12 millimeter. Everything else, as I mentioned, is loose, so I didn't want to take that bracket off because I was going to clean the whole thing before I did anything else, you know, because it is obviously really nasty underneath it here. It has not been cleaned. He done fixed, the customer actually fixed one leak already, one oil leak already, and he's going to tackle the other ones. He let us go ahead and do the AC work. Well, I'm almost going to say for obvious reasons, you know. Now, I kind of went a little bit backwards because I should have actually taken the back bolts out first. I was really planning on that bracket coming out, but like I said, that bolt is so long, and I don't even know that it is the right bolt in it. You know, there's no telling. Somebody could have stuck too long of a bolt in there. I don't know. I'm not going to make that call either. Like I said, once again, get the light out of the way. This is why I did it, why I wanted to do it. This thing is really bad, nasty. Sorry about my back being against the camera. Have to just get over it. I'm not touching the camera with my hands like this. So this is how easily that AC compressor actually comes out from underneath. And here's your 1, 2, and 3 bolts should be taken out from the front, and of course there's 3 more in the back. I wished I could have gotten that bracket out of here. Like I said, I've got a good inch already out away from the bracket, and it still feels like I got quite a bit more to go, so I'll go ahead and actually I will leave it hanging loose because that did make it easier to get that off of there, so we'll go ahead and use that to our advantage right now. That is pretty dirty underneath here. We see if we get a little bit of it knocked off of there. I don't know that we can, but we're going to give it a shot. I'm doing it some good. I'm getting her washed off quite a bit, so not as bad, still bad, but not as bad. Have to look at this air compressor pre-charged with 3 ounces of oil. That's what you commonly find on these air compressors. They are generally pre-charged with about 3 ounces of oil, and of course you will have to add the remainder. I have an oil injector, so in my case it's going to be done later on. You can add a little bit more oil into the compressor, no problem at all. It doesn't take much to hang it back up. I'm gonna go ahead and pause the camera up a little bit because, like I said, I'm a little bit in a hurry. I wanted to show that part of it. I did. So I'm gonna go ahead and snug it back up. So I'm gonna give you a couple of tips, or at least I'm gonna try to, because I see this mistake made by so many of the young guys, you know, or the inexperienced for that matter. I'm trying to explain the best that I can. It may not come out all that great, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway. So anytime you're gonna start bolting something up, you have to visually get in your head how the piece of whatever it is you're bolting on, how it's gonna end up sitting in the bracket on top of something. When there is multiple items that you have to fasten, you have to be cautious on how you do the bolts. In this case here, I want to run up all of my bolts but tighten none. They all stay loose and they all get tightened once everything is touching where it needs to be. I hope that makes sense to you. I see a lot of people mess stuff up because of it. You know, break stuff because of it. You will bind at one point in time, you will bind something and break something, or bind something and it break later on because it has too much stress. You have to make sure that every bolt goes up, all the way up, but is not tight, does not pinch on the part that you're bolting on. In other words, we got an air compressor that's going to push against the bracket. That has to sit against the ears have to sit against the bracket before we do the metal bracket in the back, because if I tighten up on the metal bracket now and the ears are not touching in the front, when I tighten the front up, it'll put stress on my parts. So we don't want no stress on anything. So everything needs to be run up. We want it touching, but we want to make sure that it can move. Everything needs to be able to touch and move. I hope that makes sense to you. You know, if not, I try to explain it any further. Leave me a comment. I'll try to explain it a little bit further. Maybe I try to illustrate it. But anyway, I hope that helps. I'll try to get the camera in there. Hopefully I can. So every single bolt on the bracket, on the compressor, you know, against the block, every single bolt is touching, but none of it is tight enough for it not to be able to move. So now I'm going to start with my compressor bolts first. You know, I'm going to go ahead and pull them up. So see, there was none of that was tight, but it was touching. So bolt number one, move on to the bolt number two right there. Doesn't, the sequence here does not matter. Makes no difference as long as everything was touching without any of it being tight. And of course we got one more on the other ear up here. So we'll have to get a little bit of snug on it. So all of that is done. Now I can go over here. The next thing I want to do is the bracket in the back. That's the next thing I'm going to run up. The metal bracket to the block is actually slotted, so it can slide. I hope that it's clear. Okay, so I had one of them here that wasn't exactly up yet, but that's okay. I had the other two touching, so that is perfectly acceptable. Get on this one here and get this tightened up. Remember, this one in the back here, against the block. It was touching as well. Everything is in place where it was supposed to be. Everything was pulled up, but nothing was tight. Now I went ahead and put the belt back on while I was down here. Really easy to do on this car. And we're also going to go ahead and put our plastic back on while we're down here. The plastic cover that covers the side up, we'll go ahead and put that on because we don't no longer need to get in that area. So all the nasty part is done with, all the lines are hooked up. I didn't really feel, I mean, this is straightforward stuff here. As I've commented before, if you're unable to figure that part out, you know, you really don't need to be messing with it in the first place. This is straightforward stuff, you know. It's not rocket science to run your lines back. You know, all you got to do is take a picture with your cell phone or keep a video around or whatever it is you do. Fairly simple. This thing here is about ready to be injected with oil. So I'm going to go on the low side there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to inject some oil into the system. Hopefully I can reach it real good here. Oh yeah. Oh no. Still ain't going all the way. Alright, now we got it on. So basically what this is, it's a dye injector or oil injector. It's got a piston inside of it. You fill it up and that piston will actually push oil on the inside. I'll go ahead and unscrew that part of it. Guess I'll show you what that is. A lot of the AC machines, of course, they'll inject oil for you. The AC machine that I got is made for hybrids, so it does not inject oil. Not going to explain that part of it. Let's take a quick look. I think we need 6 ounces of oil, I believe. Oh, left the camera on. Anyway, guys, I was wrong. Not by much, and it would work. It takes 7, it says 7.4 ounces. 7 ounces is fine. That was an ounce of the dye that I've just injected. Ounce and a half. This will do up to 2 ounces. I'm going to turn this up, turn this out again, fill it up, and keep injecting into it. I'm going to go ahead and pause the camera up so I don't have to edit. Ladies and gentlemen, got the pump in, got it charged. This one has a sticker on it, 1.47 pounds of refrigerant. We did go ahead and put the 7 ounces of oil in it. I got it running. The car is running. It's circulating right now. It takes it a minute for everything to get equalized, but it doesn't take it a minute to get cold. This thing is ice cold. Shop's air conditioned. I'm not getting a whole lot of exchange here. I'm sure when we pull it outside, that system is really going to come alive. But air is blowing cold. The compressor sounds, well, it doesn't sound. So that's a good thing. It hardly makes noises, so that part is good. We put the dye in it, of course. It helps us find the leak later on. Hope we don't have a leak, but it would. You know what I mean. I'm going to cut the video off right here, guys. I'm actually kind of sort of eating while I'm doing this. I went ahead and returned the core and all that good stuff when I charged the system with my machine, since the machine is fully automatic. But anyway, I still got to call the customer. It is getting late, so I want to call the customer, get these headlights put back in, and get that all squared away. So guys, thank you for watching. Until next time.